feel, bro? You feel good? So much pumped up.
Sorry about that. The lights. I got them now.
Oh, good. Oh, good. We were wondering.
It's just the cold weather, and sometimes it affects it, but all good. And the kiddos are asleep, so no more tuition focus. All good. Ooh, you know what that candle reminds me of? It's someone's birthday.
Oh! Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday.
Friday night, December 29, 1967, at exactly 9:40 p.m., a beautiful baby girl with irises so big they filled her almond-shaped eyes was brought into the school. If you haven't guessed it yet, that baby girl is me. I know. I don't look a day past 40, but that's not the point of this story. See, my mama, she was an old school mama. You know, the type that are super private and don't share absolutely anything and are like a complete mystery. Growing up, I would always ask her all the time to tell me stories about her upbringing in the country in Puerto Rico. And her answer was always like, I don't like to share sad stories. And she would start crying. So I stopped asking, because if there was one thing I did not like, was seeing my mama cry. It made me wonder if my birth story was a sad story. See, all I knew growing up was that I was born at Association House of Chicago, right here in Humboldt Park. If y'all didn't know, that was Walter Memorial Hospital back in the day. Right? That's all I knew. But I do remember certain birthdays after that. Like, I remember my third birthday. I remember it because I had this big birthday cake. And it was made with buttercream and intricate designs, and it was like a merry-go-round. And it had sprinkles. It had a red and white canopy. In fact, if you go down on North Avenue to Roser's Bakery, there's a replica of this cake tucked away in a corner. It might be, but it's a classic. It's a classic. I also remember when I was 4. I remember my mother being pregnant. And I mean like really pregnant. I also remember the day that she went into labor. My dad had gone to work already, and it was the morning time, and she called him, and he mustn't have been too far, or working too far, because it feels like he came really fast. And I remember being whisked away, totally whisked away so fast, and dropped off at my aunt's house. And I was so confused of what was really happening. Because as fate would have it, my sibling decided to have the audacity and appear 5 years later, exactly on December 29th, 1972. Can you believe that? No. The audacity of him trying to upstage me on my 5th birthday. Like, how dare he? I really don't remember much after that, but I do remember the day that he was brought home. And that was the first time that I realized that he was a boy. A boy. Like if there was gonna be a baby that was gonna try to upstage me, guess what? It could have been a girl. But no, he had to be a boy. I don't remember much about him growing up his first year, but I do remember my 6th and first birthday of his. And some parents probably think like, oh my God, now there's 2 of them that we have to celebrate. But in our house, it was totally different. Because just as much as my parents love to celebrate Christmas, they love to celebrate our birthdays. Year after year, there was always a Christmas and a birthday gift. We were never, ever cheated. In fact, in the times that we were together, there was a phone call that would always happen a few weeks before our birthday. And it went something like this. It's your mother! What are you doing for your birthday? Me and my brother always knew that that was code for you're coming here to this house and we're cutting a cake together. And there was no way that we could tell her no, because if not, we knew we would be in trouble. So we did that year after year, every single time she wanted to. Years later, in 2015, I decided to move away from home. I had not been away for a really long time. And my mother, before I left, gave me a going away card. And in this card, there was a message, beautiful message, but it also sounded a little strange. Like, she was never going to see me ever again.
What did it say?
It sounded kind of like it was the last time I would be able to see her.
Oh, no.
So I was really, really confused. You know, life has a strange way of doing things. And a few months passed, and it was Christmas time. And I remember I FaceTimed her. And she was so excited because all of the grandchildren, I'm the one that has the most, by the way, were home. All of her grandchildren. And if there was another thing that made my mom happy, was to have all of her grandchildren at home celebrating. She was so happy that day. She was excited. As fate would have it, the next day, my mother ended up in the hospital, unfortunately. It's the day that we found out that my mother had stage 4 cancer. We were devastated. And, you know, you can imagine, I'm far away. I was trying to figure out, should I move back? Should I stay? What should I do? And I was just really worried about my mom, about what I needed to do to make sure that she was going to have her treatment, what we needed to do, and all of those things. And her worry was that she was in the hospital and she wouldn't be able to call me on my birthday. So I would tell her, I told her a couple days before my birthday, I'm like, Ma, can you stop worrying about that stuff? Like, I'll call you. And I did just that. I called her on my birthday. Hello, Mommy. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. 4 weeks later, my mother passed away. It was a really devastating time for us. Super devastating. And for us, a few years later, you know, people started sharing stories about when their loved ones have passed. That's when some of my aunts and some of my cousins, and my mom's cousins started sharing stories about my mom's upbringing and some of her stories that I didn't know about. That's when I found out that my mother had miscarried 2 babies before me and 1 before my brother, which made us rainbow babies. So now we understood why we were so special. I also found out that my parents were super happy when I was born. So that assumption that my birth story was a sad story, I was totally off. It wasn't a sad story. You know what else I found out?
What?
If you count backwards from December 29th, it is February 14th. We all know what happened on February 14th. Love, baby. That's how she made that happen. To some this might be a sad story, but I like to focus on the good memories on Christmas time and on our birthday. And I'd like to believe that the 3 babies that are our siblings that became angels, that they are together again with their mother